All right, welcome to your introduction to ecology assignment 3.1. Please make sure the sound on your video is on. Okay, as you are presented with these different vocabulary words, please make sure that as you fill them out, your words are in red, your definitions are in black, and your examples are in green. I have filled in one or more components of each of these already for you. All right, what is ecology? So ecology is really all about how living things are able to live together. There's tons of living things on Earth. So what do we call those living things? Those are biotic. Biotic is all the living things on our planet. So us, a flower, a bacteria, a cat, all of those are living, all of those are biotic. Now, we also have non living things on Earth. Those things are called abiotic. And so things like rocks, water, the gases on our planet, all of those are abiotic or non living. So let's use this example here. So I see this lily flower and this lily pad. Those would be considered biotic because they're living, but they're within water, which is abiotic or non living. I look at this desert picture and I see the cacti, I see some of the shrubs. Those would all be living things, biotic factors. And then the rocks and the air around would be abiotic. When I look at this picture here and I see these macaques or types of monkeys in the grass and trees, all of those are biotic or living. But the rocks, for example, are abiotic or non-living. If I look at this nest here, the birds that are in the nest and the eggs, those would be biotic or living. And then the materials used to make the nest would be abiotic or non-living. So then let's talk about what ecology is. So ecology is the study of relationships between the living things and their environment. So we could go abiotic with biotic, right? Like people are biotic. But they are influencing and creating something called global warming, which is abiotic. We can also see, though, that biotic things interact with each other. A salmon is biotic and a bear is biotic, and they have a relationship with each other. Bears hunt salmon for food. So let's talk about some more important detailed vocabulary for this unit. An individual is a single member of a species. So singular, a horse, a bee, a dog, a human, one individual. We then have many individuals are a part of a species, but they have to be individuals of the same type. They have to be able to reproduce with each other. So, for example, if I take a male horse and a female horse and I create a new baby horse, that's going to be an offspring that's able to reproduce. For example, I can't take a cat and a dog, they're two different species, and create an animal that could reproduce. A really good example, though, would be like dogs, right? Dogs have lots of different types, like Rottweiler and Chihuahua or Labrador. But they're all a type of dog. They're all in the dog species, so they can still reproduce and create viable offspring. Okay, what is a population? So a population, I want you to think a number. We're counting. It's the number of species, of a species living in an area. So how many horses are in this population? 4. How many humans are in this population in the city of Toronto? 2,482,000. So it's a number, how many of that species? Okay, what is a colony? So a colony is a group of living things of the same type. So they're all the same species living together. So it's not the entire population, it's just one part of it. So for example, a family is a colony within the human species, or a herd of horses would be a group of horses within that larger population of horses. Okay, so then what's a habitat? Habitats are groups of interdependent living and non-living things, or biotic and abiotic things, living in their environment. So it's really a place where organisms are able to live. So a log, for example, could be a habitat. If a bird is using that habitat or that log as a place to live, keep its nest. But we could also go on a larger scale, right? Like the ocean is a large habitat with many living and non-living things interacting with one another. And it's a place where those living things live and thrive. Okay, so what's a community? A community is a group of living things that are all living in an area. So, for example, if we had a farm, we could use a farm as an example of a community. We have all these different types of living things: horses, cows, grass, people, but they're all living in this similar area or same space, even though they're different species. And so, how does a community fit then into like a larger ecosystem? So, if we look at this full large ecosystem here, we zoom in, we see like right here by the river, there's a community of different types of plants that need to live right by the river. And we could say that that river area is its habitat, or the non-living and living components living and interacting together. And that habitat, we might have a whole bunch of different habitats within this ecosystem, right? Right by this river is one habitat, but what about within these trees? Oh, there's another habitat. Okay, so then what's a benefit? A benefit is something in an ecosystem that's going to promote survival. So rain is a really important benefit for ecosystems. It's going to allow food to grow. It's going to allow plants to thrive. It's going to allow any living thing that relies on water to be able to continue living. Or wind. Wind is a really great benefit because it helps to move seeds around and pollen around to create new generations of plants to grow. So these are things that benefit and promote survival. But we also have challenges. So challenges make survival difficult. An example we're familiar with here in Southern California would be a drought. So a drought is a challenge because it means there's not enough water or rain available, and that's going to make living hard. Another example of a challenge would be considered a living challenge, or a biotic challenge would be a predator, right? So like if we had a large population of foxes that are predators, right? All of the rabbits in the area, they would consider the foxes to be a challenge to their survival. Okay, what is a resource? A resource is anything that's going to help an organism to survive. So food is a resource that humans use to survive. Water, shelter. But really food, water, and shelter are critical resources that almost all living things require to continue survival. Okay, two words that kind of sound similar here: microscopic first. Those are things that are very small and they need a microscope to be seen. So things like a cell, a bacteria, or a virus, right? If I wanted to look at a red blood cell, I would need a microscope to be able to see it. On the other hand, we have a term called macroscopic. These are things that can be seen with the naked eye. So even like a grain of sand, even though it's super small, I can still see it without a microscope. Therefore, it is macroscopic. We could also think of something really big, like a tree. A tree is definitely macroscopic. I don't need a microscope to see it. So then let's talk about this concept of coexistence, right? This is living things being able to exist or live together. So a really good example would be this relationship between a zebra, and there's a very special bird that lives on the zebra that helps to basically eat all of the bacteria and dead material that's on the fur of the zebra. And so that bird is going to benefit by getting food, and the zebra is going to benefit by staying healthy by having that bacteria removed by the bird. Another example could be the relationship between flowers and pollinators. They need each other to live. They need each other to survive. Okay, what is biodiversity? This is a term we're going to talk about a lot. It literally, if we break that word down, bio means life, diversity means variety. So it really means like a big variety of life or living things. So rainforests and oceans are two places that have a really big range of different types of living things. And the more biodiversity we have, the healthier an ecosystem is going to be. And actually, let's just talk about why. When there's more living things, if there is a challenge, it's easier for that ecosystem to bounce back from a challenge when there's a big variety of life. Okay, last term here is ecosystem. An ecosystem is all of the interactions between the living, biotic, and non-living, abiotic parts of their environment. So if we use this wetland as an example, right? We have this deer, we have some fish, which would be biotic. So all of the plants are biotic. And then we have the abiotic factors like the water, the soil, the rocks, the air, and all of those interactions between the living and the non-living things. There's going to be huge amounts of interactions taking place in this ecosystem. And an ecosystem is a place where those interactions take place. So your very last task is to match the terms at the bottom of your CAMI document and submit it, and you're ready to go. Good job.